a few naval ships over here. And this is Overtown, downtown, where our municipal buildings are. So our city hall's down here, jail, sheriff's office, school board, all of that's over here on this side. So Newport News is part of Hampton Roads. So Hampton Roads consists of 7 cities. You got, I'm gonna do all of them: Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, Suffolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach. I had to hit all of them. So there's 7 cities. So think of them like the boroughs in New York City, where you got Brooklyn, Harlem, Bronx. They're all part of New York City, but they all have their own distinct personality, culture within every city. So every city has its own culture. So every city has its own city council, has its own school board, has its own sheriff, has its own jail, all these different things. It should be more regional collaboration, but it's not nearly as much. We work together as a region, but we also compete for the same pools of money and resources. Now you can see a little bit more towards the train, and then you'll see the terminal to the right. And so since they're uncovered, blowing into those neighborhoods, and so you see the coal terminal to the right, and then you see the neighborhood to the left. And of course, there's the highway there. So this is Interstate 664. It breaks up the neighborhood. That's where you have Overtown and downtown. Overtown's on the right side, downtown's on the left. I measured it. I think it's like 1.5 miles that you could drive to from one end of the terminal to the other end. And you see they're trying to suppress it with the water sprinkler system to keep it from spreading. But as you can see, have you ever seen dust stay in one place before? It doesn't. Even when you sweep, it doesn't stay in one spot.
Excited for you to see the great work that we've been working on to report to you. But I just want to thank you so much for being here. We've learned so much along this journey with my Wonder Twin and with UVA and our partners, and to be able to share that information with you guys, to empower you to be able to help join us in this fight is what this is all about.
And if you know the region, this is a weird map. I've twisted the peninsula to fit it onto the shape of a PowerPoint slide. The university is right about here. On this slide. So just to the left of the label of Newport News. And you can see the kind of the racial geography. This just shows the percent African American by census block group. The darker, the kind of red, orange color, the higher percent African American. And so you can see that there's a tight correlation between lines of residential racial segregation and the geography of poverty here. So if you kind of flip that, then the inverse is true when you look at, for example, household income. As neighborhoods get whiter across this region, household incomes tend to increase. And then a lot of the work that I've done has focused on the legacy of historical discrimination in the housing sector. And so there's a very strong correlation between the patterns of residential racial segregation and home values broken down across the peninsula here. And I want to kind of highlight some of the environmental challenges that this part of Southeast Newport News, or the east end of Newport News, has. This is an area that in the early 1970s, not one, but 2 edges of the neighborhood was encircled by 6 to 8 lanes of interstate highway. This is a map of tree canopy. The inverse of this map is imperviousness, or kind of impervious surfaces or pavement. And there's a ton of research on those 2 factors being the driving factors of the urban heat island effect, where trees cool temperatures, pavement warms air temperatures, and so you can see that really pronounced difference. If we look at, for example, the patterns of asthma using, this is a CDC data set, the patterns of asthma basically track the same as the pattern of race, as the same as the pattern of poverty, the same as the pattern of pavement and urban heat. It tracks, the pattern of diabetes tracks the same, the pattern of hypertension tracks the same. Neighborhoods that were redlined almost 80 or 85 years ago today have life expectancy that's 7.5 years lower than neighborhoods, again, sometimes adjoining, immediately adjacent neighborhoods that escaped redlining.
Mr. Covington actually pressure washed the homes about 2 months ago. So if you look at it, what has accumulated in just 2 months, some of it is stains, but this is what we're dealing with here in this community. When it rains, it is cold, the water is black, it is cold just going down the drains, and it's all affecting our health. So bringing the awareness to it and then steps of advocacy, that's what the East End Civic Association Coal Dust Kills is here for.
We also have a partnership. I'm not gonna put too much information about that, but we're starting to talk about the health studies and different things. Mm-hmm. So we're working at that avenue right now, trying to figure out how we can tie the health piece in and get at least information from people in the area about what their health is and what they're seeing.
So we're gonna go down this way. The DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, gave out a purple air system monitor. Uganda was going to help going around, pass it out to our community members, to our seniors, and we were telling them that it was going to help them measure coal dust in the air. But that purple air system monitor only measures particulate matter 2.5, PM 2.5. PM 2.5 is smaller molecules. Coal dust itself is bigger visible molecules, so we say that as PM 10. So we went out there, we put this monitor to audit what they said is measuring coal dust into our area. The purple air system monitor, you had to have Wi-Fi in your home, and you also had to have electrical source. But this one right here has its own electricity, so it draws on solar power, and it has its own Wi-Fi. So over 20 sites throughout the Hampton Roads area, both in Newport News and in Norfolk. And so we're collecting that data on our website, coaldustkills.com. So you go on the website anytime and see if the air quality is good in the area at this point or if it's not. And so we're collecting that data, and then of course we keep that data on our website and make it publicly accessible to our people in the area. So the University of Virginia helped pay for these monitors to go into our neighborhoods to help show what's going on in our neighborhoods.
Hopefully I'm not telling on myself. I usually go a month or two without changing my filter where I live. Yeah. This person, after a month, had a charcoal black air filter.
We just approached with obviously the basics of chemistry, and what started as discussions of the periodic table, had our students building all sorts of molecules, but most relevant to the neighborhood was that the arsenic molecule was learning of the function of the arsenic molecule that's in the coal dust. So if you look at the makeup of the actual coal, it's not pure carbon. So arsenic is within the coal. So when we looked at the arsenic that goes into the neighborhood, the statistics can be very dry. They're still very poignant. But when you start to look at how arsenic gets into molecules and replaces some of the atoms and actually alters the molecules in the neighborhood. And the children actually do understand what's going on in the neighborhood. They're keenly aware. They know what the stains on the buildings are. The discussions that we have, we don't focus on the pollution necessarily, we focus on the chemistry and the science, but we do mention it. And they're keenly aware of the challenges in the neighborhoods.
UVA supported us by giving us a policy analyst, environmental scientists to work with us, all these type of social media person to help put everything together, and we built this thing from scratch. And not only did we build it from scratch, but we built it on somebody else's back. So there's generations of individuals who have tried to do this work before, but didn't quite get nearly as close to where we have got over the last 3 years. And so to share how that all came together, we built the coalition called Cold Us Kills. And Cold Us Kills is that yellow sign that you see all throughout the room. And most people initially was were thrown off by these signs in the yard, but the fact is, for those legislators to say they want the yard signs to be removed, we tell them very clearly, if you want the yard signs remove the coal dust from our neighborhoods, and then they will gladly go away. It's just that simple. And so we went out there, we put these yard signs in the yard, and then we began to collect the information of what it looks like, the sensors, the monitors that go into the home, go outside the homes. And so initially, DEQ went out there and they put out a purple air sensor monitor, but we put something out there that that was scientific graded, and we're able to go out there and see how our air quality is actually managed in our area. And so we put that out there, and we were able to put that on our website, coldustkills.com, and monitor a live monitor of all that data. And so we built forward, we continued to build forward, and then we went out and we started scrubbing the homes and started sampling the homes of coal dust, and then sending it to labs at UVA to figure out what's going on. And all along that process, we kept the individuals engaged in the community. We kept doing civic engagement workshops. We brought them all to the table. We collected their stories. We did storytelling tours, where we did environmental justice tours. Or that's when we got to Dr. Fan with the Hampton Roads Social Justice Conference. He brought it all together and started doing environmental justice tours. And then Uganda came into that piece as well. And Uganda, Samples Jones is an amazing individual who is a rock star in the neighborhood. And none of this work could be done without her, because she was the true boots on the ground. I'm maybe in a pulpit, Malcolm may be in Norfolk, but Uganda was the one that was really, truly like that, the glue to bring this all together. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Kim Southern, because she was the one who actually helped me write the proposal. So she was the first practitioner in residence for the UVA repair lab, and she focused on flooding in Norfolk. Although I may be the one that's presenting, these are the individuals that were able to make this work all come together. And so even with all that information that that we started the sampling of the air, sampling of the homes, testing the indoor homes and outdoor homes, and ultimately what was a real true push that was able to do that is we went to city council and we presented to them, and we told them to their faces exactly what was going on in our community, and we challenged them to do something about it. And in that, what we were able to get done was a feasibility study that will study the effectiveness of a wind fence in Newport News. And so that's the first step towards justice for our community. It's not the last step, because we want something meaningful.